All right, hello everybody. We're going to go through this week's report. The purpose of this video is we'll go through the report for the trading week that starts on September 22nd. We'll also take a look at IBD, the big picture, as we head into trading this week, and another quick look back at the Bitcoin daily chart, an update from the report itself. So here's a report. We'll start back up at the top. First thing we talked about was the concept of QE and money printing, particularly within the Bitcoin community. I keep emphasizing this. I just simply am not seeing how this is imminent right now, how this is happening anytime soon. I'm not saying it won't happen. I think it's worthwhile to really take a look at what Treasury Secretary Bessent did recently in terms of laying out his plan for how much debt they need to sell and to kind of do the gymnastics mentally and come back to how that may or may not appear in terms of regular traditional QE that people have become addicted to, essentially. So we kind of go through that and then look at a more traditional way of expanding the money supply via loans. The same boring old way we've always done it. When a loan is generated, that is a creation of new money within our financial system. And sure enough, IBD is flagging that. We're seeing more of that. We're seeing some growth there, and the bank stocks are actually ready to break out, which could have implications for the market overall. If the banks get involved, and the banks are very bullish, that is important. So we look at loan growth here recently in our country, in America, and what's going on with that. We also talk about the Fed meeting. I have a different take. We look at some notes from some of the guys from Goldman. Look, here's the thing. Basically, by saying we're going, well, first of all, everyone's focused on how much easing is being done or money printing or QE or rate cuts. Powell was very clear and he said, look, we are moving right now from restrictive to neutral. That's what they're doing, according to what he said. So we have a dilemma. Jobs are weak. Inflation is persistent. What do? He's saying we're moving from restrictive to neutral. Okay, fine. If you notice, Riscon didn't really do anything, kind of shrugged his shoulders all week long. My assessment is, look, it means there's more. Now, when is more? I'm not sure, but there's more, something dangling out in front. If you look at that and combine it with the fact that real yields, if you imagine in your head, what's the forward expectations for Fed cuts 1 year from now, which is oscillating constantly. Compare that with 1 year inflation expectations. The 1 year note, mythically in your head, is close to negative or potentially negative. So that's fuel. That's fuel for risk on. That's fuel for the fire. Investors they're looking at money being cheap. Triple B corporates are barely above the 10-year. That's something to think about if you're going to take a swing against the Fed and bet against the Fed or against risk on in general in a broad sense. I would strongly consider that personally. Go through the Bitcoin charts. You can take a look at that. We leave some notes here for the key levels that we're looking at and where we are exactly. Basically, look, with Bitcoin, we're still stuck. I would say from 120K to 107K. If you want to draw a box, 107 to 120, we're bouncing in between that. There's a lot more granular detail. But if there were a break below 107, that does bring into play potential bearish possibilities on higher timeframes. Just my opinion. Getting into risk on, risk off, we go through some of the top stocks and top industry groups. You can take a look at that. We update a lot of the charts. Bottom line is, look, there's things that are difficult to ignore. For example, high yield debt, junk debt. The reality is it's acting very bullishly. I mean, what can I say? That's why I said the shoulder shrug. It's acting very bullishly. I'm not going to swing against that. I'm not going to step in front of that. MicroStrategy is still weak. That's connected to Bitcoin. You can see the top way back here of this ugly candle closing way in the bottom of the range on huge volume. I know that was a long time ago, but it's still hovering over it. And it's still been struggling to kind of get going here, similar to Bitcoin. AGX is a proxy for the AI trade in general. And I noted here how it got a nice bounce. Volume's been tepid so far, but it's moving. It looks like it's ready to take off. So you can see where it leaves us here overall and go through that. Let's get a little update here from IBD. And, they didn't say too much here. This most recent update, Friday after the trading. But I'll note here that, their continued recommend exposure 81%. Indices could be due for consolidation before driving. I completely agree. Buying stocks at clearing proper buy points or proper entry points. I completely agree with that. That was pretty much it on that. let's look at Bitcoin on a daily chart. This is live right here. And as you may know, if you've been following along, I really focus on money flow, money flow, money flow, money flow. And you can use a basic indicator just like this one. There's a lot of other ones as well that you can use. And you can see, look, the last week or so, it's just been bouncing back and forth. Red, green, red, green, red, green. Not very decisive. Do we have another top here, here, and again here? That's kind of what I think the market is going through right now. We got a nice bounce here. Here's the 107. This is nice. It looked good at first and it kind of fizzles off with lack of volume. So that basically, in a nutshell, I'd say that's where we're at. The reports here, it's easy to sign up. There's no cost. Get on that newsletter. You'll get all the alerts via your email when they come out, and we'll take it from there. Appreciate for your time for watching and checking things out.